Welcome to Parts Hold. This is the episode you've all been waiting for. The episode about beer. We might also talk about the dealer-to-dealer relationships in parts departments, a couple other things going on in Cliff's life. We will not be talking about cats today, but much, much more today on Parts Hold.
Here to fill the order.
Clifton, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Carolina Brewery Coastal Lager.
I feel really betrayed right now.
Why? That I betrayed you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh.
Wasn't there a thing about like your intake of alcoholic beverages where I started to kind of think like maybe I'd made a positive influence on you?
Yes. So in all fairness, this is my first beer of 2024.
Okay.
But I had a long...
So that's a big deal.
Yeah. I just wanted to be better.
Yeah. So just better at not drinking?
Well, just it's a joke around my group of friends that I keep saying I want to be a better human. So
okay,
that's kind of how it all started. Yeah, that's how it all started. But funnier than that is what took place this past summer when I made a decision about it.
Okay, so you needed like, all right, let's just put a timeline to this. So you do the discussion initially in July of 2023. It is now February of 2024. So this had a 5-month ramp up, a 30-day execution, and in the second month of the year, you fall off the wagon. Yeah, perfect. Well, explain.
Maybe some insight into the Honeycutt household would be sufficient explanation. So
let me hear it.
Yeah. So back in the summer, because we spend a lot of time traveling and stuff like that, I'm constantly looking for different things to read, different things to listen to, all those type of things. And one of the things that I kind of started chasing a rabbit hole on was the effects of alcohol on the body. So,
okay. And what did you learn?
Well, it wreaks havoc on the body. It's not good for your health.
So the whole thing, like a glass of wine a day keeps the doctor away, is a lie?
Yeah, I don't think if you read the statistics, it's not true.
That statement was written by someone that likes wine?
Yeah, I think it's propaganda. But anyway, so I came home on a Friday evening and told my lovely wife that I was no longer going to drink beer or alcohol.
And what did she say?
She said, well, you really don't drink that much.
Which is actually... to hop on her bandwagon, I feel the exact same way about you.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not.
It's not a huge part of what you do.
No, and I'll finish the story.
Only if I stop interrupting you.
The very next day, Saturday, we decide to go to the lake with some friends and get on the boat and hang out and enjoy the day. And so I'm packing a cooler. To which she said, hey, do me a favor. Don't drink too much today. I'm like, well, wait a minute now.
And this is right after she just told you that you don't drink that much.
Right. So wait a minute.
Okay.
Yesterday you said that I don't drink that much. And she said, no, you're right. You don't drink that often. But when you do, it's often an excessive amount.
Okay.
Which I can't disagree. There are a handful of people in my life that are probably bad influences.
Okay, but you control what goes into the body, so you make the decision. Hey, I'm gonna throttle back a bit. Okay, that makes sense. I thought that what you were doing was kind of joining like my thing, where it was like my 2023 New Year's resolution was to drink more, which I failed at. And my thought was that this was a resolution to drink less, which really was gonna be to not drink at all, which was really gonna mean that you were gonna drink more.
No,
So,
yeah,
so
no,
you've actually you've stuck to this thing.
yeah, it was more. So I kind of changed my diet to, I'm constantly looking for different ways to eat and feel better because we're on the road a lot. It would be super easy to eat out all the time. So I'm just trying to look for different ways to eat. And one of the things that I'm doing now for the past 3 weeks, I really feel really good and feel better in some ways. Even to the point, some days I'm only having one meal a day,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still working out. I've got plenty of energy, all the things that I was doing. But I had a long drive today. I was in a store all week and traveled home, and so it's a pretty good hike driving wise for me. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't mind driving, but I hate it. I would much rather get on a plane. And so I got home and my wife was working out and I decided to have a beer. And
Okay, I like it. Well, I think that one, yourself, anyone else in the automotive industry, parts department, service department, sales, if you guys feel like the need to have a beer arises, by golly, have that beer. Enjoy yourself. So that's great. It's so funny. Kind of speaking of the parts department community, this is this topic that we're going to talk about today. And I think that there's a couple of different ways we can slice it, but we're just going to go the organic method and just see how it goes. But this is from Ben. He's a parts manager out of San Bernardino, California, who reached out to us on LinkedIn and gave us a suggestion for a topic, which I thought was super poignant. And I think that the timing is really good on it too, as we kind of are coming into 2024 with a little bit of uncertainty. We still have moments in parts departments where there's some shoddy availability of parts. And his suggestion is, could you guys do an episode on how to navigate the relationship of the dealer to dealer transactions? So Cliff's going to unpack this a little bit more, but the things that kind of popped into my head were, when there's a part that we've got that another dealer can't get, or if we have a little bit of an inventory of a back ordered part. And then Cliff's going to talk about some of the manufacturers that have systems where there's kind of like a part inventory detection that kind of connects parts departments essentially all across the United States and Canada. But I'm going to turn it over to him. But what I think the theme of this is how to have healthy relationships with other parts departments. Is that kind of how you interpreted that as what he was looking for, the kind of like the meat and potatoes, potatoes if you're trying to go carb free?
Yeah. So I did it both. I kind of approached his question two ways. One, it is the dealer to dealer thing where, the manufacturer's pushing it out and a place up in, the Outer Banks of North Carolina wants a part that a dealer in Phoenix, Arizona has. And so there's a transaction there where they're trying to partner them up and marry them up. There's also another thing where there's the locator system that all manufacturers have, where you're typing in the part number and it's bringing up everybody's inventory and you can see what everybody's got. So one side to me is more of a training aspect, meaning it may be where parts managers probably need to spend a little more time with their counter people to be able to train them on that. In fact, I think Ben even goes as far as to mention that it should be something that counter people can manage and handle. It's a little bit tricky on that because if it's a part that is, special order and I don't flag it as such and I go in there and commit to selling it, that becomes an issue because I've got a special order for somebody else. It finally came in and then I commit to sell it. There's some training aspect there. So from Ben's point of view there's a training aspect. But I would also really like to dive into the health of the relationship between you and other dealers, or dealer to dealer, meaning, a Chevrolet store that's in town and another General Motors franchise that's in town. What does that relationship look like? And the relationship with other manufacturers?
Yeah, so let me start with this. Let's just talk about the first topic that kind of came to mind is I've got a little stockpile of parts that are on intergalactic back order. So I want you to talk about maybe how you handled that when you were in the parts room and how you would do it if you had it to do over again. So let's start there.
Um, I probably a little bit different than some parts managers out there. I did have a philosophy that everything was for sale. Everything. I would sell counter people if I needed to. So there is a thing there that I was willing to offer it up. What happens is to some dealers is they become hoarders to a degree, and they forget what it's like to be in need. And so I always wanted to be the guy that helped out somebody because I was wanting to be able to count on them to help me out in the future. Um, I also probably kept a little bit larger inventory for the manufacturer that I was with than most dealers had. Um, and we had probably some advantages because of warehousing, but with the dealer to dealer, when I was in store, was in the infancy stages of that program. But I thought it was super beneficial to be able to go cross country and even into Canada and be able to find those parts. So I was always willing to sell them unless I had it in a situation that was special ordered for a customer. So that's the only caveat to any of it, is that if I had it on the shelf for a special order for a customer, I'm not going to sell that out from under the customer. So with the dealer to dealer sales online, you have to be willing to open up your inventory. You can't do the thing where we say we'll need it at some point, because we all need it at some point. I want to be a good partner for all the other stores out there. So maybe I put myself out again. I honestly, I don't think I would change the way I did it back then, because we didn't hoard up the stuff.
How would you sell it?
Oh, that program is a little bit different because you're getting it from the manufacturer. It's directly billed to the manufacturer on some of
Okay.
the dealer to dealers. But with the ones that are on back order, um, we did a gentleman's agreement. Probably not the right decision. So in a sense, that's probably something I would change. We did a gentleman's agreement kind of deal, the cost plus 10 kind of deal. I probably would change that. I had it, you need it. I might go cost 15, cost 20, depending on what it is. I don't want to be a jerk when it comes to that, though. I just want to be smart in my business practice on that. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that the thing would be is that it's got to be enough of a happy medium where it's a win-win scenario, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
my thought was like 20% probably gives it to where it's worth it for the dealer to give it up. Plus they could order another one, and it's enough for the buying dealer to do it because they're still going to make a little bit of money. Plus they're satisfying a customer. So when you said 10, I was guessing that's probably what most people do, and 20 made more sense to me.
Yeah, I think the partnership that takes place there's a give and take there. I mean, I remember, 10, 15 years, 20 years ago now. I'm starting to date myself a little bit, but that's okay. When you went on the locator and found someone who had it, you normally called them and just asked them, hey, what do you sell to other dealers at? And you had that whole conversation. A lot of those guys ended up, I built friendships with and relationships with. So that's the other piece of it too, is the relationship that you're building. We all could use some extra friends, especially in this business, as tough as it is. And so I think you build a friendship there if you're a good partner for them. They may have something later on that you need. So, um, even across country, like you can find places that had it. You just get creative on it. But I think the pricing of it has to be smart for both sides.
Yeah. So would you be more helpful or less helpful for in market versus out of market stores? What if I'm the Hyundai dealer 10 miles down the road?
You know, again, I always appreciated the relationship that I had with the stores around me, and so I always was a good partner for them. We were always
Okay, so you're more inclined to help a local.
for sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Every time. Um, you know, what happened to me early in my career was, and you got to remember, I was young when I became parts manager. I was 22, and the guy that was the biggest store in town, he and I had a conversation about me coming to work there, and then they offered me the parts manager position, and so I decided to stay. And so once we had lunch together, um, I ended up staying at the store and told him, hey, I could really use some help because I'm a 22-year-old kid getting into this management role. I could use some help and some guidance. And he offered that to me, but he didn't mean what he said. And so
Yeah.
he never helped me when I called him. He never offered me assistance. He charged us the most in town of any of the other businesses.
Yeah, like I've seen some stores on that case where they'll sell the part at MSRP to other dealers.
Yeah,
Have you seen that before?
yeah, that was 20. You got to think this is 25 years ago, and he was selling us then at cost plus 30. So it was
Yeah.
pretty close to MSRP. I just swore at that point that if I ever got to the place where I was the guy, that I would never not help somebody. And so when you're talking about the dealer to dealer sales and the dealer to dealer transaction, like if you're the guy that has the ability to help someone, I think it is our calling to help them. Like it's just a part of being good in the business, especially when it's in town.
I think that's probably that characteristic you have, Cliff, that not only made you a really, really good parts manager, but also a great coach. Is that like that innate need to help people? So this is kind of a trickier thing for me to ask you because I'm really, really curious because like I always think about you as that person that has the big heart, and the thing where I go to with the big heart is that for every person that has a really, really big heart out there, there's like 2 or 3 people that are looking to take advantage of said person. And so, how do you know when, and maybe I'm saying this wrong, but like my thought is that ideally, like if we're giving advice to the parts managers out there, when it comes to dealer relations, what you really want to develop is as many win-win relationships as possible, right? So where everybody's kind of on the same page. If I've got a part and you call me, I'm going to tell you can have it, and vice versa. If 2 weeks later I call you and you've got a part, you're going to give it to me, and we're going to do it at the same exchange rate that we do in terms of markup, and that's just a really good, healthy win-win relationship. However, that's not how the world completely works. And how did you recognize, because I think you see the best in people, how do you recognize when it's a win-lose or a lose-win?
Um, Fantastic question, and there's a lot to unpack with that. Let me start by saying this.
Well, let me start by saying this is a podcast. There's no timer. We can talk as long as we want.
I'm going to have to go get another beer if that's the case. Let me use Jacob as an example.
Jacob, who was a guest on a few episodes.
Yep, and if you haven't listened to that one on wholesale, great episode. Jacob's fantastic. Jacob and I had a great relationship because if it was a situation where, let's say I had a damaged part that was still showing in inventory because I haven't removed it from inventory, but I knew that it was damaged in inventory. Okay. There are some dealers out there who would do the thing where they send it to you anyway. And then you're kind of stuck with it unless they do returns, and most dealers don't, but then you're kind of stuck with it. The thing that happened with me and Jacob is, and it developed over a pretty quick period, is, and understand for those of you that haven't listened to the episode, we were competitors in the same marketplace. But he and I had a great relationship that we would have a communication in a manner of, if I called and asked for a part, he would flat out say, I can't sell that because of X reason. Like maybe it's something that we knew was on back order and he just didn't feel comfortable selling it because it was really hard to come by. Or maybe it was a situation where it was special ordered. Like maybe it was a damage, anything of that nature. The communication line has to open up. I do think a little bit of it is scorekeeping to a degree in figuring out, are they helping me become successful, or am I just giving? And I don't think that that's a fair relationship in business, is for me to always give, and someone take. Even though I'm, quote, selling a part, I'm kind of hurting myself because they're never going to help me.
Yeah. So when if you have the couple of instances when that happened, how did you cut it off?
We usually made known within the department that this took place. And so we communicated across the lines of, hey, this took place. There were a handful of times where I had the communication with the other manager at the store. And those normally didn't go so well, to be just honest.
What did they say? Did they deny it? Did they,
they just,
like, it's hard because you wouldn't call somebody without facts, right?
Yeah, but say it's a situation where a part's on back order and they just go, well, I'm not going to screw my customer. And it's like, well, but the part's on back order and you won't sell it to me. Like, I'm trying to understand that I've sold you, $10,000 worth of parts and I'm asking for a $100 part and you won't sell it to me. That's one instance that I do remember, and that was the exact numbers. It was $10,000 that we had sold this particular store, and we were asking for like an $80 part, and he wouldn't sell it.
And how many parts had you bought from him?
Oh, probably.
Was it really lopsided?
Yeah, we probably bought 300-400 in a month's time.
Yeah, so 10,000 to 300 or 400, and then you call and you're not getting the $80 part when they took 10 grand off your inventory.
And then I always had the other dealer. We had another dealer outside of our greater Charlotte area that would order stuff from us because we delivered all over the state of North, South Carolina, Virginia. They would order from us and they would do the thing where they wanted to see which one came first, the one from the manufacturer, the one from us. And so we cut that off too. That's not a good business partner. Like if the caveat is I'm always scratching your back and you never scratch mine, that's not a good relationship. It's not a healthy thing. So maybe that's a better term, is the relationship healthy in a sense? And I would even say one of the things that we did really successful in this area, in this market, is all the dealers with the same brand. We were all friends, and we would meet every once in a while. That's another.
Okay, so that might be a better thing too when it comes to dealer relations, is that what's your personal relationship like with these other parts managers? So if you're in a metro area and there's 6 Nissan dealers within 20 miles, maybe you guys get a powwow together and do a Top Golf or something like that. And I don't know, you could split it, but like for me as a dealer, I would pay for my parts manager to go do something like that with the other group, because I know what building the relationships is like. But yeah, I think that actively trying to establish healthy relationships that make really good business sense, that there's a win-win, and also understanding that there's times where there are people that are not out for the win-win. They're looking to win where you lose, and you have to be willing to have the self-control, if you will, to say, hey, I'm going to sever this business relationship because it's not working appropriately. And then to me, I would also I would honor that whole thing. I'd tell my people, don't call ABC Nissan for this part because here's what happened, and we established that we were not going to do business with that store anymore, and we're not going to. And then kind of honor the breakup, if you will. But I don't know. I do think that that's probably one of the things that I might do differently than some other people, is literally if it's time to break up, there would be absolutely no bone about it. I would call the other parts manager. I'd say, here's the deal. Here's what happened. And that's it for me. It's enough for me to tap out, and you don't have to bother calling and asking for a part anymore because we're not going to give you the part. And by the way, we are not going to call you and ask you for parts either. I wish you the best of luck, but this isn't a productive relationship for both of us. So we're not going to have it anymore. That's what I would probably give recommendation to everybody to do.
Well, the thing that happens is we become the abused spouse.
You go back and you screw it up again. You think they're going to change and they don't. Yeah, that's a great point.
They don't. And everybody that's listening to this has somebody in their mind. They're like, oh yeah, that's that guy.
Yeah, that's Bill.
Yeah. By the way,
right?
just to piggyback on what you said, years ago, a store that was 13 miles from our store, our entire parts department and service department and their entire service department and parts department went up and played paintball on a Sunday afternoon.
I love it. That's really cool.
It was such a blast. Really, really good time. But I love that idea because then you're building the relationships. I think the thing that we forget about is we are in competition with each other, but to a degree, there's enough business to go around that we can build these friendships that last. And it doesn't have to be hateful.
Yeah, we all lose more than we probably make in a lot of cases. There's so much business going around that we're not successful because of the other people. That's a really good point.
We even took it further where if you had a customer situation, a wholesale customer that maybe passed a bad check or was really bad on returns, and then they stopped buying from you, you knew they were going to buy from the next big guy in town. And so you just call them up and say, hey, I don't know if Roy's Body Shop's been buying from you, but just want to tell you and give you a heads up. Not telling you not to sell to him, but I'm just telling you what he did to us. That's the other part. It's just a partnership to me in the end. And if I'm providing a great service, people are still going to come and buy from us. It's not a thing of I'm scared that they're going to go buy from somebody else. They're still going to buy from me because I'm providing them better service.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's got a competitive advantage. So very well put. All right. Well, kind of wrapping everything up, just when it comes to dealer, again, our personal recommendation is to make sure that you're setting stuff up in a win-win relationship. Don't be afraid to be really fair with your fellow parts managers and parts departments from around the country, and specifically locally. Try to establish really good relationships, and don't be afraid to break up with someone if they're not treating you right. So those are kind of what I would say. What do you think? I don't want to say that the keys because we're always doing the 5 keys thing, but I would say that that's just kind of our observation of the parts departments that seem to have the most success in this arena. Those are kind of the rules that we're setting forth. So I hope you guys got a lot out of this discussion. It's a lot of fun, but if you navigate this and kind of establish rules, what you'll find is establishing boundaries in a lot of parts of your business is actually a key to success. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so very much, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Parts Hold.
Here to fill the order.